Here.
Yeah, we're up now.
We can start. All right. We're going to start here now. Today is Sunday, October 29, 2023. And welcome back to our second live show. I want to thank everybody who participated in the first recording a couple of weeks ago. And welcome back everybody who will be joining us today on today's show. It is the Pembroke Lifting Life crew as usual. It is me, Lance, Phil, Andre, Tompa, Jackie, and Chris. So I'm going to turn it over to Tompa, who will give us an update on our first give back to the Pembroke community and provide information about our agenda going forward. So take it away, Tompa.
Yes, good evening and welcome to everyone. Just a quick update on the past couple of weeks in Jamaica as we try to accomplish our 2023 given tasks. The first one, we did 5 scholarships, 2 at the high school, 1 at the primary school, and 2 at the basic school. We decided to give an extra one at the basic school, which we made a decision after we already set our goals. Maybe next year we'll do more, maybe start with 2 at each school, because it seems kind of swayed what we ended up doing, but that's where we are with that. We also provided certain supplies to the basic school, computer, school supplies such as rulers, pencils, rubbers, a variety of things at the school. And at the primary school, we are awarded 1 scholarship and also paid for the repairs to the PA system. And Jackie, I don't know if you have some sound system there now, you can talk about this in more detail. But what we basically did, they fixed their PA system and we funded a portion of the repair costs. The soccer tournament, we did a soccer tournament. We wanted to do 4 teams. We ended up with 3 teams. We ended up doing a round robin, and Asphalt ended up winning the soccer tournament. We gave medals to all participants, including coaches. We then took the winning team to have a meal, and they were very elated about everything that we did that weekend. We also spoke with the maintenance person at the high school, as one of our goal is to repair or replace the floodlights, but we're going to move them to, what do we call them now? What kind of lights we'll call them again? We're going to move I don't know why that's given, but we're going to do the floodlights at the school for the soccer field at the high school, and potentially, depending on how much funds we raise, do the driveway into the school also. Our plan is to have a Christmas donation. We haven't decided on that. We're going to work with the community association in Pembroke to see what we can do for the Christmas. Maybe provide a Christmas tree at the community center or something like that, but that's still in the works. We're still discussing that. Just the feedback from the parents. It got very emotional, for me, especially, and the family, that we provided scholarships to the kids. It started at the basic school on the Tuesday, the 10th. And as we move through the week, awarding the scholarships, you can see how happy and pleased that the parents were, in receiving assistance from us. And by the way, everyone that's received the scholarships are residents of Pembroke. We met their parents. They were very happy, very appreciative. They got to tears. A couple of them got to tears. You know, they were really appreciative. It came in at a timely, moment for a couple of them, and and all was just very happy about it. The general community was pleased to see that we're back in the community, helping in the way that we're helping, focusing on the kids, and I wanna shout out some of our donors, and especially the Pembrokeshire donors. So it started, Angela Baptiste. We really appreciate what she's contributed. Robert Adair, Richard Bennett, Martin Brown, Glendon Birdie Curry, Karen Kamika, Kirk Raw, Dennis Danny Green Taylor, and Leslie Preggs Thompson. We also received contribution from non-Pembrokeshire residents or past residents or alumni, and even non-Jamaicans have contributed to our cause. Joseph Bacchus, Trinidadian, Everton Kamika, otherwise known as Moose, cousin of mine that's from Mandeville, and Dalton Wright, also contributed to our cause. Now, these donations are from non-directors or what I call non-board members. Also, thank our board members who have contributed to this cause. We bought into the program, and we're moving ahead with this. What we're trying to do here is giving back to the community of Pembrokeshire. What else can I talk about in terms of feedback? As I said, they were very receptive. The kids, just sitting and talking to the kids. That's another thing we did. We didn't just go and give, and we sat and kind of chit chat with them, try to find out what are their goals, their objectives, what are they looking for, where can we help? So all that, I will put in a feedback for the members and board members, so we can then come up with a plan for 2024, as we move forward with what we're doing here. And all this will also be documented on our website. Once the website gets going, and Chris can talk a little bit more about that. Once that gets going, we'll add all of this information. We'll get information from the parents if they will allow us to post pictures of their kids and their names and so on and so forth on the website, and on Facebook also. The next thing we wanted to talk about is membership. If any of the board members or participant right now have any questions, we'll do that at the end. We'll have an open forum. People can shout in some questions and we'll respond. Chris, let me turn it over to you to talk about membership drive, and maybe give us an update on the website or anything else you wish to talk about.
But before you go ahead, Chris, I just want to welcome the two early viewers that we have here. I recognize Anne and Jackie. Said that's Cadian because I can't see the name then, but that's the Anne name. Welcome, man. I hope you're hearing us. I know we don't unmute you yet to give you a chance to talk. That's Cadian, Jackie?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, welcome, Cadian.
Tablet.
Welcome. I can't see the name them, so thank you, Jackie. So I just want to welcome the two early viewers and appreciate you joining us early. So, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah. And it's solar lights. I don't know why my old brain, since the 23rd of October was my birthday, it seems like getting older, I've lost my mind.
Chris, Chris audio is out.
Unmute the camera, where there? If you can hear us still, hopefully.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good to go.
All right. So, first of all, I want to, thank the team for this effort. It might seem very small and to the eyes of the onlooker, but I think it's a very significant step, right? That we were able to to achieve the things that we said we were going to do. All right. We have a Facebook site up that I need to do some updates. I'll be adding some photographs to it. I've had one discussion so far with a web designer. I'm going to take that responsibility to develop a website for us. All right, that's a little bit down the road. We're working on it. As soon as we map out the design and so on and so forth, we will circulate that to the rest of the team so that we can get input and in terms of the design, how it should look, and that sort of thing. We'll continue to use Facebook as our main way to reach out and maintain contact with the audience. The one thing I want to talk about with also too is membership drive. So I'm in the process of tightening up a strategy for next year with regards to membership, which ties into fundraising efforts. Okay. It's kind of a little elaborate. I'll be sending it to the other board members in another couple of days or so for you to review it, have your feedback. All right. You can discuss it for meetings, and then we can put it together and make the product better, but it will be ready to launch for next year, right? One of the things that we will need to look at is the current membership ask or the membership levels, right? We probably need to revamp that. It is all in the draft together, so we can take a look at it at that time. In the meantime, okay, what I ask each board member to do is to put together their list of contacts. As Tony said, it does not necessarily have to be a Pembroke Hall past resident. It could be a friend, it could be a work associate, it could be a teammate, it could be anybody, okay? I've made around 25 contacts, right? But a lot of times you're gonna have to reach out to these same folks 25 times, right? That's the nature of what we're trying to do. I'm very confident that if we follow the due diligence, which is to list our contacts, again, family member, friend, associates, team members, whoever it is, then we can start building a cadre of not just members, but also contributors. Now, there are going to be people that are going to contribute in kind, okay? So it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, right? Someone can have certain skills that they would want to share with us and to help us move the organization further. I'm going to ask you guys if you have any question. Lance, there's someone in the chat asking how to give a donation.
Yeah, that was
right?
Ann asking in chat. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was Ann asking.
Okay,
So I was going to
okay.
ask about that, Chris. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to yield back the rest of the time to someone else to continue this conversation.
So where exactly they can give donation? I don't have that information ready yet.
Okay, so we have a handout that we're circulating. Each member has that. It's a form that tells you can send a donation to. I'm gonna have to pull that up. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I'm gonna ask that we share that with anyone who is on the call now. You can Zelle it. You can send it to an account. You can send it to Tony. Maybe Tony can shed some more light on that question.
Don't put on mute, it look like Cameron.
Yeah, so I'll add it in a few minutes. As Chris mentioned, you can Zelle it directly to the bank, PNC Bank, but I'll send out all that information. You can wire it to the bank, and you can mail it to our mailing address, which is currently my personal address. Right, so I'll post that on YouTube, and maybe that page, if we can screenshot that page and have it up for a while.
Yeah, it can go up on the chat in a YouTube, Tom,
Yeah.
or the message box. Yeah. We can definitely do that. Yeah. Yep. So Chris, you don't have anything else to add, because I think the next step was Andre was going to come in and introduce our guest. We have a very special guest today, Martin. We invite Martin to come in, and Andre was going into introduction to talk about Martin. So go ahead, Andre, because I don't think Chris have anything. Mike, unmute, Andre.
You're not hearing me?
No, good. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Lance, and thank you to my teammates for the very clear and detailed outline of the recent Heroes Day activities in Jamaica. I'd like to again welcome the Pembroke Hall family to this second edition of P Hall Live. And today we have gone through discussing activities based on the goals that we had set for 2023. Well, we are moving on to this evening's special guests, where we have Annandale Avenue and Pembroke Hall's own Martin Brown. Martin's years in the community range from 1961 through 1983, when he migrated. He's also cousin to stalwarts like Lance and Robert Backhead Adair and their sisters. He was a graduate of the Pembroke Hall Primary School before going on to Meadowbrook High on a free play scholarship. Today, Martin joins us to discuss a subject near and dear to his heart, specifically cognitive challenges faced by school-age youngsters. He discovered his own affliction during his adolescent years and was fortunate enough to be in a position to get the requisite support, enabling him to conquer that challenge. In keeping with his trademark altruistic nature, Martin is interested in providing opportunities for Pembroke Hall's youth who are facing similar challenges. So we now give Martin a P Hall welcome and invite him to tell his story. Welcome, my brother. It is indeed a pleasure to have you on board.
Well, thank you. I want to just clarify something. What is a P Hall welcome? I mean, you know?
Well,
On the ball, Pembroke Hall. So go ahead.
Yeah, and one more adjustment in that you said that I have conquered it. No, you never conquer it. Well, you get to a place of managing it in a better way. But this will work better, Andre. If you ask, we can call it John or Andre. Which one we want?
Yeah, man. Okay. Pembroke Hall know me as both.
All right. Can me know you as John. So I mean, you know, yeah. While I was in Pembroke Hall primary, I struggled with cognitive skills, right? And I had processing issues, and one of the major processing issues that I have was found out when I came to college here in America, right? And it was dyslexia. Before that, I used to get enough beaten at Pembroke Hall primary for this same thing, because they would ask me to do certain challenges, like certain things, basic things like talking, like reading from the board or reading out of whatever that book was, you know, whatever it is, children's one or first aid in English or anything like that. And I had problems, and whenever I struggled, you know, what was applied was the cane, and it made it worse. I kept telling them that even in permacal that the things were moving on the page, but everybody thought I was being the class clown. You know, they think I was being the class clown, and I wasn't being, you know, for real. And it dealt, you know, it had something. It affected a lot of your self-esteem, because you know that you're not stupid. You know that you're understanding what is going on. But when it comes to, for you through your reading and processing, so things like mathematics was difficult because the things would move around on the paper, and back then they didn't really have the capacity to deal with issues like that I had, and because of that, I feel that if we can tap into helping these children, or children that might be having the same types of struggles that I had, to do better, you know, and to overcome, it would be a great thing. And to start it off from the primary level, you know, before you even get into a tertiary situation and, you know, college, etc. Because what happens is that the child is going to feel that they're stupid, and they're going to excel in the things that comes easier to them. And what came easy to me was giving jokes and giving trouble. So I fell back on that. And the teacher them deal with my case, especially my auntie. You understand? But we won't go in there. I'm still suffering from some post-traumatic stress. You understand? So it was real. So maybe we can stop. Maybe we can help children with this issue. You know, it's something that I have seen work before. It's something that I have been a part of in another country, and I know that it can work here. It's just if we have the will, and if we have the drive to go forward. So that's basically it in a nutshell, John. So, you know, if you want to ask questions, feel free.
Well, I can see, well, at first I would like to let the viewers know that what we're doing here is exploratory. So we're going to tap into your experiences, Martin, and learn more about what you experienced and how it was managed, and how we could apply that to today's environment in, say, Pembroke Primary School, and what kind of follow-up. Because I believe in our conversations previously, you had mentioned that there is a program for testing to identify whether a student has this affliction. And when the results from that test are revealed, what the next steps would be. So those are things that are not in place currently, and we will be discussing as we go along how to develop that. So we just wanted to share. It's almost like a preview of what is to come in this situation.
All right. I left Meadowbrook, came to America, went to college. Went to the same college that the great Anthony Kamika. Yes, Baruch College in Lexington Avenue, right here in New York, right? And so when I got here, there was a program, because they felt, because I spoke English with an accent, they thought that I was not able to understand English. And they introduced me to this thing called the SEEK program. Tompa, remember that?
Yes, man.
The SEEK program, because they said that English was not my first language.
Right.
And when I got into it, and you have to do a certain level of testing, cognitive, to test your cognitive skills, to see if you're really understanding what is going on and all of that. And I understood very well, but I could not communicate it very well by reading and all of these things. So they did the test, and we found out that I was dyslexic. And it opened a number of doors for me. It's not, they gave us certain exercises to do to make you, you can deal with it better. One of the things that intimidates somebody that struggles with dyslexia is like exams. You'll find that your child not doing well with exams at all. And part of the reason is because an exam lasts an hour and 15 minutes or whatever. But probably a child struggling with dyslexia needs like 2 hours, you know, because it takes a while for them to see what is on the page, interpret it in their mind, yeah? And then after you do that, start to answer the questions. So exams for me that were like English literature back in Jamaica, you know, I would know the stories, and what I'd have to do before, I would have to study the story, or what we say in Jamaica, swat it. Okay, so that you understand every part of it, yeah? And it is easy now to read the question. I mean, an average person take probably about 15 seconds to read a question, if it's a long question, right? But for somebody struggling with dyslexia, we need about a good 3-4 minutes. And if you have 100 questions, 3-4 minutes, you can see the results. You're not going to have the results that the teacher want, neither what the parent want. So that is what we did. And there are testing tests that you can do in Jamaica that would identify whether or not the child has a processing issue. You know, I have a processing issue. I still have it, but they train you to deal with it. Because dyslexia, you never really get rid of it, you know, but they teach you how to deal with it. So basically, I mean, that's it.
I have
Yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I have a
Sorry.
question. I have a question, Martin. You tell me say earlier, and you said the words that might jump out at you. Exactly what you mean.
All right. Good question. I had issues there. When you're dyslexic, usually you have buzzwords for yourself. You have words that are itemized that give you a problem. My words were the words off and for. So whenever I would see off, I'd have to, it looks to me like for, like F-O instead of off. And for would read to me like RFO. You see what I'm saying? It jumbles it up, you know? It jumbles it up when you're looking at it. So when you're reading, you know, you don't have problems with certain words. So you read those words, all right. But when you get to your word, your assigned word, them used to call it your assigned word that you struggle with, right? You start to off. But what happens is that your mind knows that is not full. Your mind know that, you know? But what comes out of your mouth is full. So you have to say, this don't make sense. You know, it must be for, it must be off, it must be boy, and not any other thing. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the challenge for somebody like that. So that is how it moves. In mathematics, it moves too. Like if you see something like 2023, I would probably see 3203 or something like that. It will just jumble them up for you. And that is the problem, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if anybody else, I don't want to monopolize the question, but may I ask another question, Martin? Based on your experience, because you are, I know you and I are the same age, so you know your 60s are close to 60.
Me?
Yeah.
At 35, Bridget.
Okay, when I have to talk about the age thing.
Well, you have to be, Martin. We're in the same class.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so you're 35 too.
Right, that's what I'm
That's right.
saying. Yeah.
Okay,
So you would have
okay.
to be 35.
Jackie, he's taking a woman's stance. He doesn't want
Yeah.
nobody to know his age.
All right. So the question I ask Martin
Yeah.
is like, what percentage, and this is just a rough guess, of people you think are afflicted by what you go through? You're a rough guesstimate.
Well, all right. So you go 1 in 10, right? So I think that in 10, you have about that 30% of the class that is struggling with dyslexia alone. Now you can struggle with dyslexia plus ADD, you know, and that is a different level. So I think about 30% of us struggle with it, 30% of people have that issue going on with them.
Yes, so that's the whole that is true. That in a classroom, a 30 man, you talk about at least 10 man in a class are woman. It's not a male dominated thing, or it's across the board.
It's across the board. But somehow I find that women take care, they handle it better than men, That's what I found.
Women, they're not as disruptive, or what?
They're not disruptive. They're not disruptive, and back home them just say that should him or her dunce. You know what I'm saying? And women would probably just internalize that a little bit more, and you see what I'm saying?
I think that is strange because usually women are more sensitive than men.
Yeah, but they don't have outbursts like we. Guys have outbursts tonight. One of the main things, if you want to know if one of your kids them in your class or in your family is how much trouble them give. That is one of the key things, You have to check that first. And don't just say the pitney bad. Don't just say the child is bad and beat the pitney and all them things. I mean, I am one for capital punishment, but why you have to find out where you beat first,
Right, before you resort to that.
Yeah.
So what you say then, if you have something like that, then beating not going to help you at all then?
Beating not going to help you.
Okay.
Beating is going to galvanize you to be an underachiever. I'm telling you now. If it wasn't for Baruch and some of the counselors there, and of course the living God will help me. You understand? To get to the place where I am at now, Thank God for that.
Sorry, Phil, you go ahead. Sorry, Phil, me cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Martin, tell us a little bit about this program, like, what it entails and how it would work.
You mean, all right,
which
one of the programs now?
The testing.
The testing. Testing is very simple. Usually you have somebody who is a trained counselor or someone who is a licensed, not psychotherapist. You don't need so much behind you, but somebody who, like in America, we call them special ed teachers. Yeah. If you have a trained special ed teacher, to identify that the child is struggling about something, you see, and make certain little tests. You have it's a sheet of paper that they give you with about 3 or 5 questions on it, and you ask the child. You say, "What are you seeing? What do you understand from this paragraph? What do you what are you seeing here?" And if the child stumbles and say, it's like in psychology when you use the ink blot test and they say, "What are you seeing in the ink blot test?" You know what I mean? That is one of the key things there. I mean, I think Tompa have his hand up.
I just wanted to be unmute just in case.
So Martin, I am going to then assume that the $1 million question is, once it's identified, what steps are available to help children and who would administer that? Because I believe in conversations with Jackie, she had made some contacts with one of the institutions in Jamaica who offers the testing. But of course, we don't have any information about what will be done beyond that point. So we are still exploring how to develop the program. And I don't know, from your experience now, Martin, with the program you have done abroad, did you get any resistance from parents, who may feel it might stigmatize a child to have them tested or something along those lines? Is that something that parents would have to be educated on, in your view?
And before you answer that, Martin, 1 second. I say Estoria Wills in the chat room would like to answer some of these questions. Cameron, you can set it up that you can mute her, that she eventually come on after Martin come up. Yeah, but go ahead, Martin.
And just for public knowledge, that's the spouse of the great Tony God Dingo Wills.
Okay.
A Dingo family that.
Yeah.
Yes, and she's a teacher for many years in New York.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you can bring her on, make she come up and talk, Cameron, because she'd like to come and comment on some of these things. Go ahead, Martin, sorry.
I don't see they're here on Zoom.
All right.
You see them?
No.
Okay, so you have to go log in then. But go ahead.
Came out and then come back. She's going to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John, what was your question to me again?
Yeah, did you experience parents who were
in Thailand? All right,
Yeah.
First we did the program in Thailand, right? I'm just recently. And you kind of know when your child not functioning right, you know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the immediate answer to your question is no. We did not, because most of the parents knew that there was some processing issue that the child had. Yeah. So we came now from New York and the New York setting. I mean, we brought over there the person to do the testing. And but the testing that we did on this trip was to prepare the special ed teachers to identify certain processing issues that they have. All right. So but the immediate answer to your question is no.
And that is, I'm hoping that will be the same thing if we're able to launch this program in Jamaica, where parents would support the children and give them a reasonable chance from an early stage to learn how to manage this affliction.
Well, one little technical thing, Andre. Cameron, can you just put the Zoom link in the chat room? Estura wants to log in and she don't know how to. Just put the Zoom link in the chat room. Yeah, thank you. Not Discord, Zoom.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right? In my case, my parents did not know. Although my mother was a teacher, my father is an engineer, right? Them didn't know all of these types of things that was happening. Because back in those days, you're either trained to be doctor, lawyer, or nurse, right? And outside of those things, you have to go to trade school. So I was destined for trade school.
Okay.
I was destined for trade school. And until my parents, my mother said, come to New York. You know, I mean, New York, we've been here for a while before. So she just said, come, and we went to school there. And that is when I found out about the processing issues and all of those things. And what we did in Thailand is the same thing. Those children, and we're dealing with even children that were higher up on the spectrum, the autistic spectrum, that is. Not just those that are having processing issues, but even some that are nonverbal that you can work with, you know. And so that is what they were actually training them to have. But the children, the people and the parents know when your child bad. You understand? And you know that the child isn't stupid because the child excels in some other things.
Yes.
You see? And because the child excels in other things, you must know it's not just stupid, the child stupid, you know?
But can I clear up something or ask you a question? Because I said something a while ago, like you were destined to trade school, like I something about that. You're not saying that?
Hey, you see, back in the 70s,
Yes.
Virgin, you want your son to be lawyer or doctor, you know? You don't want your son to be no plumber. I'm telling you that the truth. Now,
That
my
is true.
goodness, me that love to be a plumber. You know how much money they make per hour? You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
Yeah, that's very true.
Skilled labor in general, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you're very
So-
good at it, whatever it is.
So there was, just to your point there, Martin. You know, I believe, just like you said a couple weeks ago, many of us, you know, at the time may have had some deficiency, right? But we didn't know, right?
Yes, that's right.
We didn't know, or parents weren't educated or informed enough. And certainly the schools weren't offering those kind of insight, right? So the program that you're talking about, I believe, is a very noble one and one in which we should pursue. My question would be, not being, you know, out of touch with Jamaica for a while, in the workings of Jamaica, is to ask if, once a child has been diagnosed, right? If the necessary tools and help is there for the child to get, and what would that entail in terms of costs, or is there any liability to us? Is that going to open any liability to the organization, from that standpoint? Because it is true that some parents might be very cagey because it might attach a certain stigma to the child that child has to live with for the rest of their life if they're not going to be given some help. I know that's kind of loaded, but that's kind of how my brain works.
Well, liability in Jamaica is liability anywhere in the world, right? The agency that you guys know the history of it, and the agency that I would have worked with is what I suggested to you guys, and they are the ones that would be doing the testing. I read what they do, in how they test the children, in the costing of it. No, the aftermath of it, it's going to be up to the school and the parents. The parents have to have some kind of input in this, you know. And as an agency, I wouldn't suggest that the agency itself, that would be your executive, to bite off more than you can chew. You understand? The parents have to have some kind of liability. If it's even $2 out of $10, they have to provide. You know, because when you get something for free, usually you don't care it. You know, and this is where I think that we have to go. Like what we did in Thailand recently is that the Thai parents had to come to the seminars. You know, they had to. There was something on their part that they had to do. You know, and they did it, and they did it for the betterment of their child.
Exactly. I mean, ultimately, if you want better for your kid, you're gonna support the child's need if there is such. So, Martin, if the child is diagnosed with an issue, where would we go from there?
Well, like I said, then you have to bring into play the guidance counselor. That's number one.
Yeah.
Then the principal. All right. And then you would reach out to the family and say, listen, we found that little Johnny has a problem with this. Okay.
Yeah.
This is our suggestion. And then you get them into classes, courses that can do that can change it, you know, that can help them to manage. If it even means to help them by offering them a longer period instead of the hour, give them a hour and a half. You see what I'm saying? To assess them, because they're reading it, but they're reading it slow, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You know, it's like, you know, you have to turn it upside down to see it work, and then, you know, move it, and then
you have to move it around.
reset it. You have to understand what it says, So you're going to need
Yeah.
so it's going to be up to the school and
Yeah.
with the guidance council and the principal.
What about the need for a professional?
Well,
What about the need for a professional,
Well-
like a psychologist or somebody that specializes? Let's say the kid is an autistic child, somebody who specializes in the treatment of those type of kids. Because I think like a special ed teacher would just know the teaching aspect as to how to approach that child in terms of teaching and making it productive for them. But in terms of actually dealing with the issue itself, I'm assuming they would need like some kind of a medical professional.
Well, getting into the psychology of the whole thing
Yeah,
is you're getting into deeper areas now, right?
right.
Because some of the processing issues that children have, a lot of it come from places that you and I probably don't even realize that it's coming from.
Yeah,
If a child is at home and being abused at home, I'm talking
Yeah.
like enough licks and things, right?
yeah, right. Unnecessary
Child is
physical
going
abuse.
to, right, it's going to surface in something,
Yeah,
you know, because it's like this anxiety, the anxiety has to be, it has to go somewhere. And the child acts out and it gets so anxious while reading him, can't process what he must say, you know? Cannot process what he's saying.
True.
If there is a whole heap of different things. So getting into the psyche of the whole thing, the psyche of the child, and then into the psychology of how to fix it, that is probably where you need to go. But they're going to need early cognitive training, like they're saying, I see the cat on the wall. All right.
yeah, yeah,
They're going to see, I see the tap on the wall. And then they're going to say, no, it can't make sense. It must be a cat that them talking about. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
That is how, you know, you're right. You're correct it in your brain now while you're working. So they have to
Yeah.
have a general picture of what the paragraph is saying. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
And if the
Right.
paragraph is talking about a cat, it can't
Yeah.
be talking about a bat. It can't be talking
Right.
about whatever it's going to jumble in your head to be.
Right. It's almost like being incoherent.
Let
Yeah.
me jump in as and ask a question and clarify and ask a question.
Yeah, before you ask the question, Lance, just want to read a few things that, you know, Astoria mentioned, but since you guys can't get her on, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things she said was the next step after testing would be to get an individual education plan,
Yeah.
right? Which is kind of some of what you talked about there. She also mentioned that dyslexia comes in many forms, and you know, when we know she's trying to get on, so we need to get her on. We're losing out some knowledge here, not getting her on.
Yeah, and thank you, Tompa, because I was going to add this and in the other chat box, and I don't know which chat box is it, but she's saying, and this go to a question, a good question to bring it up here, Martin. What she said, I'm going to read it. The kids in Pembroke Primary, if they are going from 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, and it's quite possible there are some kind of learning disability.
Yes.
Bringing awareness will start the process, and these children are feeling that they are dunce, and punitive measures are being used to correct it. But let me ask a question based on that. One I said to me, say, if a man in the D stream, it more likely say that is a problem.
Well, you'd have to look into as why they can't go to the next level up, like I
To
see.
improve, yes. to
Right. Why is there no improvement? Why is it a steady stretch of, you know, underproductivity as far as the learning
And
is
I
concerned? Because
suppose
that's
that
what
could be for many reasons.
yeah, exactly. So which is the reason why you would look into it.
Sometimes the child has problems seeing. You
Yeah.
have to get their eyes tested. Sometimes they're not hearing well. Sometimes they're not even have breakfast
Right.
in the morning, so they're not learning. And
But-
of course,
but-
they have to get the support from the parents and so with homework and all of that. So it can be so,
Exactly.
it's not
So
necessarily that they have a problem.
a learning
But
problem,
those
but
things
Right.
then
are
somebody would
problems.
have to assess them to say exactly why is it they're not progressing.
Exactly.
Those things
Yep.
are indeed problems. They may not be the same problem that we are
Yeah.
discussing, but there
Yeah.
are problems. And
Yes, there are problems.
unfortunately, for those children, it's usually an assumption that they are bad or they are non-performers, or
And them
instead
done.
of instead of
Understand.
investigation being done to determine why
Right,
they are in this situation.
right. And there's a high level of arrogance and ignorance in the school system too, right? That lends itself to things like that. I was just reading a white paper because after we start having this conversation, I started to research the matter. A lot of kids go through trauma, man. You know, like Jackie pointed out a few of them, you know, and trauma come in all different shapes, sizes,
Mhm.
you know, and we don't know half the story that these kids go
Yeah.
through. I think this is an important discussion that we're having. We just need to figure out, because to me, if we know that our kids have a problem and it's not being addressed, man, then shame on us, right?
Exactly.
Shame on us.
Because it's like I said, once a child leaves home and go to school, the teacher becomes a parent. And as such, you're supposed to pay attention to the child's learning capability and see if there's an issue, then you seek the help of the guidance counselor to sit and talk with the child and find out what is going on. And if need be for a greater or a more skilled person to take it over, that should be done, because ultimately you want all of the children to succeed. Even though there's no perfect situation, you at least have to try. So
Yeah.
ultimately it's upon the school, the institution, to make sure they're giving the kids all they need to prosper.
Hmm.
All right. So our organization, PR, we need to make a decision as to how or what level of support are we going to give this thing to. I know we're talking about at least introducing the need for or the availability of testing, right? And for maybe a pilot program, 25 kids, I think we talk about, right? And so we just need to, I believe, decide how far do we want to take this program in the interim, right? Do we want to say, okay, let's go forward and follow up with what Martin is suggesting to us. We go do the testing for 25 kids. Then somewhere down the line, we can make a representation to the school and say, hey, we've done this, we're sponsoring this test. The result is whatever it is, whoever is exposed to those results. And maybe 2-3 years down the line, we can say, okay, we might be able to sponsor one child. Again, I'm just throwing it out there to go to the next level. Because the way I see it, once a child has been diagnosed, it's a lifelong process. It don't just stop with the testing. It continues. We have to decide how far do we want to go, and where's the resources going to come, right? Because there's no doubt in my mind that there are people out there that's going to join this initiative, right? Because kids are so important.
Well, let me ask you a question, Martin, since you have it here and you go through this. What you said to me, say, if you didn't get tested early, it possible say you could be a Rhodes Scholar?
Who says I'm not a Rhodes Scholar now?
Well, no.
But
That's right.
No, you don't get the
Yeah.
official title at Jamaica, that I mean, yes. You're a Rose Scholar, you know, yes.
well, I believe in manifest destiny in a virgin. So I believe that where I am now, I was destined to be here.
Yeah.
However, I only believe also. Okay, so Dingo, Mr. Dingo sister, come on now. Hold on. Yeah. So I do believe that it would be a great thing if I had gotten it in Permacal Primary School. Maybe I wouldn't get so much caning and so much detention, you know, or corrective measures.
Well, say you wouldn't have to top up it so often, I'm better broke.
Yeah, I'm anti-beat me so much at Permacal Primary. You understand?
Yeah.
So, you know, I firmly believe that if I had gotten that
Support.
intervention, you know,
Yeah.
at least it would ease the frustration of my parents, because them things that them pitney dunce. You understand?
Right. Not knowing better.
All right. And it's so, I'm so thankful to God say what me is now, because even after that, Virgin, I mean, you know, leaving Baruch, I mean, Baruch is an excellent school and thing, but they place you in banking, and that's what I've been doing for years. And if you're working with figures like Tompa,
Yeah, man.
you know, say the number them need to
Oh,
stay
Martin.
good
Yeah,
on the
man,
page.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Right.
cool. Mhm.
So you know, it's just God's providence why I'm here where I'm at in a Virgin. Straight.
Martin, quickly before I continue, turn over the host into Cameron for me, please. Yeah.
Cameron, where is Cameron again? All right, coming to your Cameron. Yeah.
So Martin,
Virgin.
the way I was envisioning this thing to work,
Thank you,
right?
Martin.
And outside of the 25, but you know, let's say there are 200 kids that we
Tompa, you can lower your camera a little bit, Tompa. You had to attack, you know. There you go.
It frozen, man.
There you go.
Yeah, see,
All right.
frozen, that's why. But yeah, so the program, the way I envision the program working, the testing part of the program,
Yeah.
it's a three-way partnership is how I'm seeing it, right? It's the school, well, maybe even four, right? It's the school, the parents, and the institution that's going to be testing them, right? So that's where I see any agreement being written. PR alumni is, to me, right now, and we'll discuss this as a board, will only fund the testing, the cost of the testing, right? Because none of us on the board, I don't think, have any expertise in this area or anything, right? So we will raise funds to pay for the initial testing, right? And then where it goes from there gets back to what Chris was talking about, right? So is that how you see it, where it's the schools and the institution that's going to do the testing? Come up with that plan or what's needed after they identify some students to test?
That is one possible way of doing it, you know. What we just did in Thailand was that we funded everything. You know, in bringing the people back from the US to Bangkok and doing the training, we paid for everything. But we trained the teachers to identify the children. What I think would work well in Jamaica is just as you're suggesting, that we get Michael to fund to do the testing. It would, and then we have to have some kind of clause in it, in the agreement, so that we can know. I mean, so I say we, I mean you on the executive can know how this is being administered. If we're just throwing away the money, or it is affecting the lives of some children. Yeah.
Right.
So if we do it that way, that is a fantastic way of getting it done. you know.
So you mentioned Thailand, Martin. What I say is, no matter the culture then, this is a thing where across all races and culture and color.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And just to let you guys know, my daughter, we found out later on that she is ADHD, right?
Okay.
And she's a high achiever.
Yeah.
So I think what you were saying earlier is a female handle this thing. And I saw some behavior, but couldn't put it together. And it's only in her adulthood that I realized that this is after she done graduate and did it well and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God and God bless her,
Exactly.
for what she has achieved.
Right.
Because it's extremely difficult, especially when you have ADHD and people don't understand that it's not that you want to be mischievous or fidgety or whatever. It's
Right.
just the way your brain is programming these things. And one of the key things that I wanted to bring out for the teachers at Permaculture, we have 3 sources of listening, and I mean, I know Dinga wife probably can put it in the nowadays terms. I'm giving you from way back then. In that children we learn through our ears, our eyes. All right, ears and eyes. Now, somebody who is like, if there's a story being read and the child is looking through the window, the teacher mustn't be too upset. You understand? Because that child is an auditory learner. You see what I'm saying? For me, I was an auditory learner. I could listen to you and tell you exactly what to say. But if you tell me to look on you and follow it on the page, I can't do it. Okay? And then you have some that are visual learners. So they will just study whatever you're doing and get it down to a science. You see? So we have to be able to identify those things. This processing thing and learning challenges, it comes in so many different ways, so many different rules,
But it sounds like Martin, and we're there for over an hour now, and I want to invite anybody in the chat or in the group who want to come on and talk.
Lance, can you have him unmute Janice, please?
Oh yeah, Cameron, unmute. This will.
I sent the request already.
Yeah, she needs to just come in. So
there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so if she can't speak, I just want anybody that want to come on, put up them on. If they want to wave to wave, you can see them are there. Where the box there, where them for wave?
Orient.
I can see Anne Elliott in the.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if she wanted to speak. She's on.
She's on mute. Her mic is muted.
Camera. All right. And
okay, I'm good.
Yeah, man, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Go ahead and speak.
Yeah, all right. I think it's a great thing that Martin brought up today. I'm a social worker here in New York, 27 years. So I work with a lot of kids that, learning disability on different levels. And even what Jackie was saying too. So the testing is so important because a variety of reasons why a kid is not learning or flowing in the D stream all the time. But the psychologist part of it is a lot of times these kids, and when I think back, growing up in Jamaica, being at Permaculture Primary, Perco had the same problem, my brother. Yeah. And so he was in the D stream, right? And so, he was noted. His way of dealing with it was to crack jokes and things like that, right?
That's me.
But I can say there was an incredible stigmatism around it for him, shame, the beatings again, the name calling, the labeling. Eventually that causes trauma, as he was saying, post-traumatic stress disorder. So the way of, in Jamaica, we're not knowledgeable because the testing is not there. The people to understand it, to catch it in the classroom is not there. And it's not until we come here that we begin to learn about these things. I think it was one of his teachers in high school when he was almost to graduate, caught it, and said, I think he has a learning disabled. But the part of it, the good part of it, Devon was always, call him Devon, highly creative in the arts, graphic arts. And so when he tried to go to college, he didn't do well in the academics, in the liberal arts. And so he transitioned over to a school called Center for Media Arts. And he was so good that when teachers were absent, they used him as a sub, right?
Wow.
So that was a very raw, natural talent. But even in primary, he used to sit there and squiggle and draw comics and stuff like that, right?
But I want to tell you, Ann, he used to use a potato to put the logo on our minor league jerseys.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah, and he used to make comic strips for us and things like that, a little book with and get beaten for using his exercise book, to draw and stuff like that. Little did we know that, as an adult, he was a master printer, got great contracts, different hospitals to do T-shirts, silk screening, all kind of designs for, great people. And so, being able to catch that and for my mom to nurture that and see that, even though he may not be academically inclined to be an A student, he was still talented to, find his stream and be able to be good at it and be able to train others and be someone that was sought out. But I do understand, even working with the children, the child welfare system here, a lot of the teens, they don't even want to take the tests because of the shame, the stigma, around it. But for a lot of them at the same time, there's been a big relief for the parents and even for the kid themselves to say, oh, I'm not dumb, this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. And so once they find that the appropriate measures can be taken, they're being put and placed in smaller settings. They're given extra time on their exam, extra time, for homework. Yeah. The school system has extra support teams, psychologists, guidance counselor, after school settings that could help them, give them more of a boost and things like that. So I think bringing about the awareness of this in Pembroke Primary would be, the beginning of it, to be able to catch it and to be able to make the assessment as to why this kid is not learning. It could be, as I said, some of the kids just needed eyeglasses.
Can be a game changer, and it could also enhance the school population performance at the GSAT level.
Yeah.
Which should ultimately bring back Pembroke kids to the school, to Pembroke Primary. And ultimately, if we move it over to the secondary level, even there's Pembroke High.
But let me ask a serious question though, and it might sound like it. Well, on the Jackie, because based on what Martin said, what Ann said, my question is, do we need training program for the teachers? Because Martin has said the teacher name recognize I hear him now if I look on her. Or him, well, I'm most a female in the classroom.
But you would like to think that the Ministry of Education is aware of these things now in this 20.
Yes, I think 50 years ago is
right.
From
it's
now.
2023.
The teachers know they even from teachers college, they would be exposed to picking up certain things.
Honestly, I think they are, because my nephew wife is a special ed teacher, and she got recruited and she's up here now working in Florida.
Yeah, they do that. And I can tell you, my daughter just recently started teaching at Campion, and what they have to do from orientation, the teachers' orientation, I suppose for new teachers, they have a list of all the students with issues. So the teachers have that going into the classroom. They know who has what problem or whatever. So they know how to deal with, certain things they know how to do. If it's a test, well, some students would have to get extra time, whatever, like that. I don't know about the primary school level, but I know that is actually done at Campion now.
So when I said to me, now,
They know, they have a list going. When my daughter going into the classroom, she know that there's a child there that has ADHD. Somebody's there, somebody with autism or whatever, she knows. So it's not that for her to go and identify that student. The school already knows, because entering the school, you have to do a health, you have to I think submit a medical certificate, certain things, or if they don't even know before, certain along the way in the years, they pick up certain things and then have them tested or whatever. But one point though, let me just stick a pin. I didn't even realize this Anne Elliott was Anne Elliott.
Yeah.
A she, man. A she, same one.
I didn't know. And I don't know, we go way back.
Yeah.
We go way back.
Yeah, you went to St. Hugh's. I went to Merle Grove.
Yes, on Annandale. I lived on Annandale. You know, anytime I think of Anne and Maxine, I always remember, is it Sound of Music or My Fair Lady? There was what we always used to act out, one of those. You guys used to just sing it, and I don't know if you remember. I think it's Sound of Music. Anyway.
Sound of Music, yeah, because when I came up, I was still singing the songs.
Yes, always singing it.
I'm going to Jamaica in 2 weeks, because Merle Grove is having their 100th anniversary. So I'm going to donate my first form uniform.
Wow. You went to which school you said?
Merle Grove.
Oh, Merle Grove. Okay.
Yeah, two of my sisters went there.
And guess who I saw recently in Ocho Rios?
Who's that?
Dingo.
Sharon Burke. Sharon Burke. From
wow.
Hold on. Miss Will's on the line. I want to get a hearing, so we can come back to the festivities.
Yeah, she's on.
Yeah, with the Dingo, where I hear her. Let her speak now. Go ahead. Yeah, man, go ahead and speak, Miss Will. Yeah, hello, go ahead. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you coming into this discussion.
Dingo.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
what have to do? Move on.
I have been, listening to the conversation and all of that. Before, a lot of things were brought up during the time I could not come on. One of them was the child could be hungry. All of those things are in place. A lot of things that came into was the parents and how they would deal with the stigma of the child being labeled. That is the big thing. Yeah. People of color don't like the children to be labeled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They have a very hard time. And one of the reasons is because they feel, the child having this problem is a reflection on them. First of all, you have to try and make them understand it is not about them. It's about the child.
Exactly.
Okay? That's one thing. Now, with the testing part of it, first of all, as a teacher, and I've been a teacher for a lot of years, and I've taught in the elementary sector.
You're only 35 as well?
Yeah, no. Because the numbers of years that I've been teaching way past 35.
All right, yeah, man. Yeah, it's all right, yeah.
So what happened is that the parents, the child will come in, and I have been teaching at a kindergarten, first grade and second grade level. I even did preschool. I trained preschool teachers at one time. So, when the child comes in, let me tell you, after years of dealing with children and seeing what other children are capable of doing, eventually you come up and you realize, wow, there's something kind of strange or kind of special about this child and the way the child learns. So at that point, what we do is we try to get somebody to come in and first of all, see where the child's at. Like you might have we have a educational, what you call ourselves, somebody who comes in and look at the
An
child
assessor,
before.
educational assessor.
Yeah, she's not really an assessor, but she's a parent child advocate.
Advocate, okay,
And
okay.
she has special ed qualifications. So I mean, I'm going so fast and everything in my head. She comes in and then she'll come back to me at the end of the day and say, well, I noticed X, Y, and Z. So at that point, she would then now contact the parent. The parent would then come in and she would tell the parent what she is seeing. Okay. And then the parent would then go forward from there. Well, she would then fill out a form. In this case, they would send it to CSC, which is the group that then sends in and evaluate, and they send in more than one. They have one that do an interview with the child, one that does that come in and just evaluate the child without the child knowing who is there or what that person is there for.
Just in a natural habitat.
Yes, exactly. And then what would happen is then that person would then report back to CSC, and CSC would then start writing up their evaluation. Then they would have the parent. I'm skipping a lot of steps. Then what eventually would happen is that they would have a meeting. CSC, after gather all the information, would then have a telephone call with the parent, me on the line, and the committee for special education there. Mm-hmm. Then they would then start talking about what their evaluation brought up. Okay, and that evaluation brings up a whole lot of things. But the organization that I'm talking about, I'm not so fond of them. Why? Because I think what they also need to do is the parents should also go privately and get what they know as a pediatrician that is a pediatrician that deals with children like that are having educational problems. I forgot the name of the pediatrician now that does that. And then they can then work out a plan, an educational plan, which is an IEP for the child. Now, if they find that the child is showing signs of, and first of all, the organization I'm talking about, CSC, they can't tell you if the child is not dyslexic, is autistic or not. And autism the spectrum of autism cover a whole lot of things.
Very wide.
Yes, very broad.
Yes, and not only does you have autism, but autism comes with other things like attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. It comes with dyslexia. It comes with speech. It comes with a myriad of things.
Yeah.
Not only that, it comes also with fine motor skills, large motor skills, processing, and all of that. So you have to find I'm trying to remember exactly the pediatrician. I mean, it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's not coming because so many things has been covered since I spoke with you guys. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Since I saw everybody listening, and as I've been listening, a developmental pediatrician. That is what the pediatrician is called.
Yeah.
And there's not many of them in the world. In New York here alone, you'd be your children on waiting lists from 2 years ago to see a developmental pediatrician because that there are not many of them that are out there. And what this developmental pediatrician does is they do the full testing of the child. And then this way they're noticing if it's hearing, speech, dyslexia, whatever it is, so that then they can then narrow down what the educational plan is for that child. Now, some children, when they're diagnosed and having those problems, they might have processing and all that, not at earlier age though, what they do is here they get something that's called a SEAT that sits in the classroom with the child. And if the teacher, the regular ed teacher, writes something on the board, then that teacher that SEAT helps to break it down so that the child can answer. Now, as they get older, they need, sometimes some children need just sets, which I personally don't like because they take the child out of the class and they're missing out on what the regular ed teacher is doing. But if they're in a classroom setting that is called an ITC classroom, where there is a special ed teacher, a regular ed teacher, then that teacher can then, you know, while the regular ed teacher goes on the board, explain a math problem or a reading problem, then what she does is she breaks it down so that the child can better understand it and process it so that they can do what they have to do. Now, an ICT classroom should only have 12 or less children in the classroom.
Well, let me ask you a question, Astoria, because you go through a whole heap of things there, based on your experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm happy
But
to hear
I
that.
guess you probably have more to say too, because they say you were listening and you weren't able to talk. So it's probably so many
Yes.
things you wanted to say.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so 2 questions based on what you said there. It's like, the first thing, at what age you think is better for start doing these testing? And
Early intervention, the earlier the better.
Right,
If you're able to tap it in, because sometimes, you know, and parents are strange people. Okay, for instance, there is something going on. I know a child, and the child was born, and when the child was born, the child died for 15 minutes or wasn't breathing. The parent was then, the child was then resuscitated, right? And came back to life and all of that. But it never dawned on the parent that at age 2, you should start looking into something that is going on with this child. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Another case in point, I know a child that during in utero, during birth, the child had a stroke.
Yeah.
They did everything, the parent did everything physically, but never checked that that lapse in time, the loss of oxygen or whatever it
Right,
is.
might have had brain damage.
Exactly. And it might not be significant. You understand me?
Right.
It might
So
not be
that
significant.
overlook.
And them overlook it because, oh, the child is all right. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man. Yeah.
So this is like the best thing to do. Like, parents should be vigilant, because sometimes they see children flapping their arms or spinning. They might go, oh, them just enjoying themselves. And it's also a sign of autism. It's a coping mechanism.
Well, let me ask another question, Astoria, because I mentioned something earlier, not since you
And
talked.
it's Peaches.
Peaches, sorry, Peaches, sorry. Thanks for that. Let me ask a question, Peaches. You mentioned, the ideal thing is a 12 child per classroom. No,
Let me say it again, repeat.
12, you said it was 12 child is ideal numbers for the classroom when you deal situation like this, right?
Yes.
I mean, no, the financial constraint at Jamaica, even from when me I go primary school, at 30 picking at the class.
Yeah.
It's 30, not 30.
More than that,
It
more
was
than that.
55 in my class.
It's no different here. I teach in a
55.
Catholic school, and last year I had 32 children. Okay, this year I have 26. Okay, did I have children with special needs in there? Sure enough, I did. And this year I definitely have. And a lot of the parents bring their children to a Catholic school because they're hiding them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if they go to the public school, and that's another slack thing about this country too. The thing is that the thing them have in place is this least restricted environment. So if you have a child and the child a drool and can't learn anything, if you feel a child belonging in a regular education classroom, well, I'll be damned, they're going to put them in there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair to the child, it's not fair to the teacher, and it's not fair to the other children in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers.
But I think, Peaches, I think a lot of that have to do with the particular school district, because in the more affluent neighborhoods, I think they get a better service out of the
No,
board.
no, that's not what it is.
No.
What
All
is
right.
it in the more affluent neighborhoods is that
Yeah.
what our
Can I hold on a second, Peaches? I'll ask you a question. From what you have said, in a Jamaican context, how do you think what you have said can fit in a Jamaican primary school context?
Thank you, Martin. That's right.
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
That's my question. Thank you
From
very much.
from my point of view, what you see, Jamaica not gonna want to pay well special ed teachers and special ed teacher in a public school don't get any more pay than a regular ed teacher. Okay, that's what I've been told. Okay, because I have friends that work in the public school, but they would have to go find classes where them know say, well, okay, then break up Pembroke Primary and know say, well, them have a class that is an ITC setting, might be 2 or 3 classes that's an ITC setting, and then them have a regular ed teacher.
What is an ITC setting? I don't know what
An
that is.
ITC setting is a setting where a child there's no more than 12 or 8, the maximum in that class setting. And there is a special ed teacher and a regular ed teacher in there.
What does it mean? Individual training class?
No, what it is that they're getting the same thing that the other children getting, but there is the special ed teacher is in there and a regular ed teacher, and the regular ed teacher teach, and then the special ed teacher breaks it down so the child is able to understand.
Okay.
Is
And
it
the week for smaller
ITC?
classroom.
Could you define ITC, the acronym?
I don't remember right now, but
That's what I was referring to when I said individual. I figure they put them in smaller classes so they can.
Yes, it's smaller classes because
right, so
let
they
me tell
can
you,
like, give them individual attention.
where there can be more time spent
Right.
with them and broken down so that they're able to understand what is
Right, to
happening.
enhance the learning process.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a stepbrother that went to one of those in the Bronx. You know, it's a public school, but it's ITC.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let me rephrase the question back again when Martin asked, because I don't think I hear your answer. Are we too ambitious?
By the way, it is integrated co-teaching.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Andre.
Boy, Mr. Danville, I love you.
But them have it as-
Oh, yes, Andre, yes.
Crazy.
All right.
Y'all
All right,
can tell
Janice, hold on
I
now.
love my Andre.
Lance,
Yeah, go ahead, Martin.
Cameron, Janice has her hands up long time. She wants to say something.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Bring her in, Cameron. I'm not seeing it, Martin. Thank you.
Who's monitoring those things, Lance?
Sammy, Cameron.
No, Cameron is.
Cameron, I'm on that.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you. But I can't say what you say, Martin. That's the issue. But while Janice is trying to come in, Peaches, my question is, are we too ambitious to even attempt to try this in a Pembroke primary?
Okay.
That's
Let me tell you, it's
I'm
never
sorry, sir.
too. Let me tell you, I went to school in Jamaica, but not for a long time. I spent 10 years of my life in Jamaica. I went to a prep school. I did not see a whole bunch of children in classes when I went to prep school. Okay, it was a small setting, and I know, but I know from experience listening to my Jamaican friends and stuff, the size of a classroom. Not only that, Tony and I adopted a little girl, and well, she's no longer a little girl, but when I saw she went to Obeston Prep for a while because we were with the process of getting her here. And when I went to the school. I came down to Jamaica and I went to the school. For me, that was too many children in a classroom. Okay, and so upon seeing that and realizing that the process of coming to us was taking so long, I decided to take her out and put her in early childhood prep, which at that point was a smaller setting. And when we adopted her, I'm going to be very honest, she was in a household where she wasn't going to school every day. She go school Monday. She don't go school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. She might go Friday, but don't go back Monday. And because of that, her education was interrupted education on a daily basis. And she needed a smaller setting. And it's not that anything they do her, because I made sure that Grace had her tested at Michael.
Mm-hmm. So it's not,
I think a lot of it is a shortcoming on the part of the Ministry of Education. I don't think they are doing enough. They're not moving fast enough. It's like they said they want to get rid of the shift system, but they're not doing things fast enough to make that happen. And to remove from the shift system a lot of the schools means they're going to need more classroom then.
That's a resource.
They're going to need more
get more classrooms, it's going to be bigger classes. Like you're saying.
Yeah, they're going to need more classrooms and they're going to need more teachers. But you know where that come in?
Brain drain situation.
Yeah, and then that come in where they're going to need more teachers. That means them have got to pay them better.
Right. No only person getting paid better is them.
That's a resource problem. We're not going to track ourselves for going at that because that's a political discussion. We're not going.
But we don't.
Yeah, but
teachers
that's a part
in
of the problem, Lance. That is a part of the problem.
But
we
teachers in
can't
America
only so much, you know.
Yeah.
Because even what you guys were saying with Martin was to do the program, we're gonna have to go to the entities that can help the kids if we really want to go the distance and try and solicit help from them in whatever way we can. If they want to do it, as a volunteer thing to get the tax write-off, or they want to give us the people, not us, but the parent, a discounted rate at doing it. And if we can help the parent, fund that in any way, so be it. But we'll have to solicit the help of the necessary entities that can help with this sort of problem, because the testing is just the beginning. Knowing what the problem is and not dealing with it is basically not doing nothing.
But you know
Peaches.
Thank you, Peaches. I mean, Phil. I mean,
yeah,
is kind of direct, but knowing what the problem is, you see, because what you don't want to do, you don't want to just leave the owners to do the work on an organization. The parents.
No, yeah, that's why
Martin finish.
Parents have to take some kind of initiative in this too. You understand?
Right.
They have to come forward and say, listen, because the parent can break through all different types of political issues.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? The parent can do that. So you can't just limit it to say, listen, this is a political thing and we just have to be a problem. I live in a political world, Bridget. We all do.
Yeah.
We all negotiate politics every day. So it's just a matter of finding a tool to navigate this part. That's all.
But based on what Peaches say, I am encouraged because we're not too ambitious. It's never too ambitious to try. And as small as we're going to start, and if we can get help to a certain level, and as we say, over and over, we are going to do the testing, we're providing the professionals to do all of that. We just put it out there for say.
You know what you could probably do, because from what I understand, Michael College, right? A lot of children go down there to be tested, to say what them IQ is, and I think, and all of that. If that's the case, that means they have the tools, to see where they are educationally. That means Michael have the tools. So, I mean, if you could,
Yes, they do. Michael offers the testing. But what Michael does, they do the testing and they send back the report, whether if you do it individually or as a school, they send the report back to the school. That's where they stop.
Is Michael
they send the report with giving recommendation as to what the child, whatever the problem is or whatever situation they think that they need to get into, they just do their recommendations. And
and you want to know, that's what the organization, the group that we have here, CSC, they provide services for the children in public schools, in Catholic schools. Now in Catholic schools, the thing is that they don't get equity, they get equality. You know, they don't get the amount of services that a child would have gotten if they were in the public school, because the public school here is equipped where you have teachers in there that are there. If the child is in school 8 hours a day, that child is in a class with the teacher and a special ed teacher, a regular ed teacher and a special ed teacher. So they have that. But if they're sending it back to the school and the school don't have the facilities to do anything, then that's where the child gets screwed. You understand
the parents would have to do that on their own.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. I am going to be very honest, it's not cheap.
Obviously. No, it isn't.
But you know, first of all, you know, as I said, start small, start with, and I said the basic school, because at that point, when you can see what is happening with the child from basic school, then you can find, you know, to be very honest, you know what my sister-in-law did for our daughter? At the time, there was a lady in Pembroke Hall, her name is Mrs. Carroll. Yeah. And she did not, and Mrs. Carroll took her and did extra classes with her.
Yeah, she used to offer that service.
Mrs. Carroll,
yes.
Last Quinnet.
I remember good. Yeah.
Yeah, and she did that. So if at an early age, we can't, first of all, we can't throw the baby out with the bath water. So therefore, we have to also address those who are now in the elementary school as well. Because there's a lot, let me tell you, we have a lot of smart children in Jamaica. And I'm not saying that with water in my mouth, and not because I'm Jamaican. But, and if we can tap into their brain and help them in some way, because you know many people come here from Jamaica, and when them come, I mean, one guy I know, him said them dash me away, you know, and have me off as an idiot, you know, at Jamaica, and him come here, and he got into a program. And you would be surprised at what that young man is capable of doing and what he has accomplished. As a matter of fact, him having put electrician business here, here in the States.
Well, on a second, Peaches, let me see if Janice wanted to say something, because I said she is here.
She's been wanting to talk.
Yeah, can she come on and speak? I'm not seeing.
Yeah, man, I saw her bar light up green, so she should be able to talk.
Cameron, can she just come in and speak?
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yeah, man, we can hear you, Janice.
Yes, Janice, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what's happening, but my camera not connecting on the Zoom.
And identify yourself, Janice. I just know Janice.
Because you don't want to see her, man.
Hello, my sister-in-law.
Janice Wills Chang is the married name, married to Gilly Chang from Carolina. My era, I didn't come in at the beginning, so I'm not quite sure, but there were some comments that I'd like to make about how and when to start. My area is public health, right? And the focus is on prevention. How do you prevent things from happening? And it is a skill that can be applied to anything, even in the educational sector, right? As Peaches said, the earlier the better. I think a lot of focus, if we're gonna do something for the kids, is to start at the basic school level. What is simple is screening. First thing is screening, right? As I said, these are just public health principles. How do we screen the children to find out who needs further testing? I don't know It's not just a teacher having a thing that she think a child might need something, or doing the whole class. Doing the whole class is unrealistic. You know, if we're gonna do the basic screen, for example. So basic screening, like for example, in the public health system up here in the US, kids are screened at age 3 and 5, which is pre-kindergarten. All right, they're screened for vision and hearing. 2 basic screening tests. Simple. You can do a full class of 50 probably in a day. Screening. Screening tells you who has an issue that needs to be tested further. So in other words, if you have limited resources, start with the screening. Say you screen 50, you might get 6, 7, 8 probably who now need additional testing. And then those 8 now, then you can funnel them into whatever program. We're talking primarily, I gather from where I came in the conversation, about educational testing. But a lot of kids lose out for the simple fact that they're not hearing and they're not seeing.
Agreed.
Okay. And you'd be surprised. A child can't tell you they're not seeing properly because they don't know anything else.
They don't know better. They
Agreed.
don't know what they're not seeing.
Exactly. And I mean, I got glasses as an adult. This is just an aside. I got glasses as an adult, and I really did not know that you could see the leaves on trees. I thought it was always just a big green blur. So I went through right through university, squinting and making do until that point. So I'm saying use the same principles
True,
of
Janice.
screening, identify those who need additional testing. Then you apply the testing processes to find out who definitely has an issue.
Needs,
Because some
yes.
screening who really don't have a problem.
Yeah.
The screening will pick up those who have a problem, and it will also pick up a few who don't, but they just screen positive. All right. So once you get your idea now of who needs additional testing, then you can get the testing. The issue we're going to have from what I'm hearing here is that, one, the resources to deal with the issues if they're identified.
Right.
And so, in other words, the teachers, the special ed, whatever else, the aides, the size of the class, all of those issues will come into play once you have identified them.
But let me ask you a question, Janice, because you talk about the screening. Is there a special group of people who does this type of screening, or is just anybody who does the screening?
Yes.
Yes, there are special groups that can do it, but what I'd say, untrained people can be trained to do them. So in other words, audiologists, and I know we had some in Jamaica. I mean, I have left there close to 15, 20 years now. I don't know what it's like now, to be truthful. But an audiologist can arrange to do screening, because you're not diagnosing anything now, you're just giving them some basic things to see if they're hearing properly.
Or they might say.
Yeah, and do the vision, right, to see if they're seeing. So, the typical read the letters on the screen, which way is the key pointing, that type of thing. And that can identify who needs additional testing. So screening, then the testing and diagnosis. And then here is the problem, as I said. If you're going to screen them, if you're going to test them and try and diagnose them, what are you going to do with them?
With the results.
Telling somebody they have vision problems and you don't give them glasses is a waste of everybody's time. Telling somebody they're not hearing and you can't give them hearing aids or whatever it is that's necessary is a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah.
And if you're going to test them for educational thing and you can't provide the services that they're going to need, why are you doing it? So just some thoughts to sort of
good move to talk.
That is exactly my point.
Some excellent ideas there, and suggestions. In terms of the finance, Martin, or anyone else, Janice or
Peaches.
There's a program right now in Jamaica called Project Star.
Star, yes.
Yeah.
And it's the IPO guys that and Jackie that I had mentioned. I had sent you guys the IPO that JMMD had done, right, with a group. So it's a private sector of Jamaica and the police force are joining together and doing this Project Star. They've raised a lot of money. Part of their program talks about some social help that they'll go into communities. I know they started in 3 communities. They may have gone more now by this time. They did one in Westmoreland, one in St. James, and I think one in Kingston. And they're going out to the communities. So Martin, maybe this is something, you know, we can pursue to see for the back end, for the subsequent funding, if there's need to provide a program for the students. You know, because if we look at, you know, the one basic school that I dealt with, and there may be another one there, you know, have 65 students there, right? I think this organization can raise money to do that screening if we can find the people to do it there, right? And we may be able to reach out to some people that would volunteer some of their time to do it also, right?
Right.
But as you ladies have been saying, and Martin, is the subsequent, you know, now that we know the problem, how we fund it.
Yeah, I'm based on what.
But Jackie, let me ask you something. It's only Michael that does this testing in Jamaica?
No, I know it's not only Michael.
I don't know of any other. I know you have people that does it privately.
Martin can answer that. Martin answer that for me. You're there on mute, Cameron.
I know it's not the only one because Sharon knows another one.
Cameron, Martin, I'm mute. I mute him there.
Oh,
so there may be 2.
He didn't connect his audio yet.
Martin, you can't speak now?
He's
still muted.
You need to connect your audio, Martin. You need to connect your audio. But based on 1 year until Martin connect his audio. There is, in my mind, I listen to Peaches and I listen to Janice. It looked like there is a great demand to help students in Jamaica with this thing. It's almost like it massive in a sense, like you hold up your hand there and say I can't bother do nothing. But I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to do that at all. I either like we start small, and if we can encourage people to come in and join us and say, boy, and just like you said, Thumper, reach out to organization, big organization. I think it's a noble thing we are trying.
But while we're saying it's a massive, you know.
Yes, a big thing.
Undertaking.
No, but
it's a big undertaking, but not.
Yeah, but think about it as Pembroke only right now.
No.
Yeah,
Pembroke only thing, right? Exclusive of Pembroke.
So think about it that way, and we can start getting some magnitude, right? So let's say we'll go with Martin's suggestion, 30%. So let's even use 50%, right? That we'll do maybe the testing that Martin is talking about. Not the screening, what the ladies just mentioned, but the second testing. So even if we use a 50%, right? So we're talking about 50% of 65, right? Once we identify them to test them.
At the basic school, yeah.
At basic school, and 50% of the primary school. I don't know how many students is in the private.
That's also, yeah.
You know.
But one of the things I heard, is it Martin that was saying that they gave him a piece of paper to read and to see if to diagnose what he had?
The early days, the early days at Baruch. We are talking about that now.
Yeah. But yeah. When did you go to Baruch?
Huh?
When did you go to Baruch?
In the 80s, Baruch in the 80s.
Oh, because Michael Ingram went to Baruch.
Oh, really?
I think he's still going to Baruch in a Peaches time. He's just 35, Martin.
Yeah, but in the early days, the testing was this. They to find out, as you have well said, that there are levels to dyslexia. You know, some people are extremely dyslexic, and then some you're not that dyslexic, but you do have a processing issue. Like
and it has to do with organizational skills as well.
Well, okay, you are the professional where that is concerned. I was the one that was being tested, and what they had to do with me is that they gave you like 3 questions, and they asked you to interpret the question. and they judge the time
Processing.
that you would take how to interpret the
Process.
question,
Process.
right? So when they judge the time that you did, then the tester asked, what did you see while interpreting the question? Okay. And
Mhm.
I said the O, because my stigma was on O and F and R, and the number 9 inverted to 6, the number, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
wouldn't see 3 regular, I would see the 3 backwards. So they would ask you, what did you write down what you saw? And I would write it down. And then they said, okay, you interpreted 2 words out of the question. Good. So you have a problem with these sets of words. All right. And these numbers. And then from that, they could figure out the level of how dyslexic you were and all of that. I know now because I just looked at it online just now. They have different ways now of testing them. So that was old school. That was what, over 40 years ago. So it's funny,
So
Yeah, it's amazing because now at one time, like a long time ago, first of all, autism was referred to as schizophrenia, childhood schizophrenia. And then they changed it, and now they bring a spectrum. Now, other than the spectrum, they're talking about neurodiversity, which means that that they're along the way they're also realizing that there are other things that are going on in the brain that is not only autism, but there's a neurodiversity in the child. And therefore now they're picking up on like a lot of other things that would then help the child become more independent and to be able to address the child as such. So it could be ADHD and all of those other things. So as the time go along, they find, but as I said, and I agree with Janice, that we should really start at the basic school level.
Yeah.
Right, the sooner the better.
Yeah, the sooner the better. But in the meantime, there are other children, as I said, that are there that could do with some sort of help as well,
And
that
that's
have
what-
gone through.
And that's what I like what you said. We don't leave them out because we're
No, we can't.
Yeah.
I mean, but this has so many branches in it. And I mean, I don't want to open this because we're going to talk about it for another 2 hours.
No, I would not have that. I did talk about that.
Because
Yeah.
The thing is, a lot of the parents also, they suffer from Asperger's. You understand? And adult Asperger's. So they just, the rabbit hole goes very deep. You understand?
Let me take it from there, Martin, because what I know for 2 hours, believe it or not, we are talking for just under 2 hours, and we want to wrap it up in another 10-15 minutes because when we do them live show, I have like a time constraint. This is not like the recorded one. So, based on the conversation, we're going to put it out back and people can listen back over and over. There is, I'm not going to use a word where certain people understand because a certain prime minister used to love that word. That there's a tremendous demand for what we try to do, what we are attempting to try and do, an experimental program where we'll start tests because apparently a whole heap of people need the help with this in Jamaica.
Yes.
Right? So we're throwing it out there to our permaculture community and we'll start. Small Martin has kindly donated to do the first initial testing. I will take it from there. I would share to the permaculture community. And these are some of the things, lifting lives. Looking forward to try and do once we can get the funding and things for it. But Martin has kindly started, get the ball rolling by donating to do the first 25 children to get tested at permaculture primary. Go ahead, Phil.
Which are gonna need to get permission from the parents.
Yeah, man. That's true, Phil. Thank you.
Before we do anything, once the guidance counselor or the teacher find us at 25, those 25 children, the parents have to be notified and see if they're okay with it.
Yeah, man. Remember that now. We
So
don't,
5 of them not okay with it. Then we're going to have to grab another 5. So probably we're going to have them identify maybe 30, 35 kids.
yep.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
if 5 of them decide that they don't work, you have another pool to take from, and who didn't get to, we can do it on the second round.
And round, yeah.
That is the logistics part of it. That I believe that the guidance counselor can
And
deal
the
with,
school
Can
and,
take care
and
of.
Michael deal with
School
that.
can
Yeah,
deal
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind, so we want to lock it down another 10 minutes. Let us go round. I want to thank Peaches and Janice and
Everybody
the people
that
who speak and all, everybody who have been speaking. If they want to say a last
even
word.
the ones who are listening.
Yeah, man. And Peaches and Janice and Ann, and I don't want to use last word. Ruth, correct me about that. Any closing remark before we close out the program here today? And you go first, Peaches.
Well, my closing remark is, as an educator, the sooner the better for our children. And it is best that we take it, try and do, we want to do everything all at once, but let's take it slow and easy so that we can reach a lot of students.
Thank you, Peaches. And Janice, if you're still there, any closing remark before we close it out?
I think also before, can you hear me?
Yeah, man, we can, yeah.
Sure, definitely.
Before we get going, I think we really need to sit down and let's document
the approach.
How we're gonna do it, who, what's next, where next, why we wanna do this. And again, I would push for starting with simple, which I consider simple basic screenings in the basic school level, because that will pick up a lot of issues as we move forward. Start there. I'm not saying only there, but start there, as Peter said, and for those that are identified like in the primary school level. But if you can catch a cohort early, the early intervention, as somebody else had
right, you'll be able to save more students.
Exactly, very key point. The earlier you can do something. By the way, there was a program in Jamaica called the Early Intervention Program. And again, this was in my days. I mean, I left Jamaica almost 20 years ago when I was in public health there. And that's what they did. They identified problems in children and, assisted them with getting the help they need. They went into school and schooling. So those are things that we probably need to identify with somebody on the ground who can find out from Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education how much of these programs are going on, and how our role will fit in with what we're already doing.
Yeah, man. I'm like how you put that, Janice. I like how you end it. Our role, like you're part of us already. Thank you for that. And you have any closing remark before I go on the table to the crew? And it's there still? Shan mute or what?
Yeah, she muted. Cameron would have to unmute.
Unmute her, the Cameron. Continue. And all right, before we'll get back.
Jelly, that is on the phone.
That is here
too. Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you scroll up, you will see everybody's a lot of people on it.
No, I'm not see the
same. Michael screens. Ingram, Orion Maddox.
Go and big them up for me, because I'm not seeing the same screens. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing the screen. Enough. Take care of that for me. Big up all
Phil, is Kadian still there?
No. Let me see. No, she left.
But
she left the stage.
But thank all the people who come on.
Man.
Yeah.
Ultimate. Yeah, well, as I said, we want to thank Peaches. We want to thank Janice, Anne, Odette, Orion, and Michael Ingram.
Okay.
For participating. I'm looking forward to see you guys the next time around.
Yeah, man. It's just, as I said, this is just a beginning conversation. So, Anne, if you have anything to close out with.
Right, work in progress.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Peaches. And
thank you.
Hello,
you do the
Orion.
same.
Hello, Errol Ingram.
Yeah, I don't think Anna hear us. So Martin, any closing remark before I close this out?
Well, she's still muted in her lunch. She's still muted. Cameron would have to unmute her.
Yeah, man, in my ear way. Martin can't speak, but look, we get back to
Okay.
it.
No, she can't speak now. She's
All right, go
good
ahead.
to go.
All right, go ahead, Ann. Sorry.
I just want to say that this is a great start because it was something that is so close to home for me, you know. So hearing Martin bring this to the forefront for Jamaica, and I'm so happy to hear Jackie chimed in to say that, you know, it is happening in the high school level. But I do agree that we must start it as soon as we can to catch it at the very early stage, that we can avoid the other traumatic, you know, things that can happen, catching it later.
Exactly.
Peaches for all the information. I as a social worker, I also work closely with the schools on these issues on the committee on special ed, making sure that the children are getting the services they need to push forward and push ahead. So I'm very enthused, I'm very encouraged. I will be supporting this financially, even in sponsorship. I'll be willing to sponsor a child to be able to have this testing. Great program.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
And Martin, as our guest of honor today, you have any closing remark before we go around the table and close it out?
Like I said before, thank you for, well, I don't know if I thanked you all from weeks ago or months ago. Thank you for being a part of just the thought, the think tank of all of this. It is something that we have, like I said before, we have done this in Thailand. And we're just coming back from Thailand because we did it over there. And I don't see the problem that we will, problems are just problems, but they are there for us to overcome, for everybody to overcome. But I just believe that we can affect the life. If we can get one person, one child,
Exactly. Amen to that.
Change the path of their life.
Well said.
Amen to that, brother.
Baruch
well
College,
said.
Baruch College, I mean, like I said, God and Baruch College changed a part of my life completely. And got me into identifying it and then training me to deal with it. You know, so if we can get one child to change, we're changing the world. You know, we're changing the world. So thank you again, man, everybody else. And like I said, I'll be certainly here as a, I mean, test it. Yes, I will go ahead and, as you know, 25 children already that we paid for, that have been paid for. I want to encourage everybody else. If there is more to do, let's go another 25 kids. You know, let's go. Let's conquer the world permacal. You know what I mean?
And the ball permacal.
Thank you. And it's good to see my original virgin them from long time. You know, and let me just give me a shout out like me I come off the land. You ready?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Man like Tom, man like John. Big up on yourself. You understand?
Yeah.
Man like any. Yeah. Big up on yourself, man. You see me?
Respect.
And the only one who me see glimpse the camera, the original Dingo. Yeah, that's the original Dingo.
Yeah.
All right.
Missing in action.
Big up the original Dingo. See? And why did I do? We have to remind
Yeah,
Dingo.
man, big up Dingo sister Janice too.
Yes, me know him sister, but I come to you, Janice.
Oh my God, because plenty people don't know some my sister.
Yeah, man, the original Dingo with the original Grace and Janice will big up on yourself. They don't know. All right. Original Anandale, Jackie, you don't know the thing set. All right. So thank you. All right. Thump on my brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So I could go around the table and close this out quickly, because I want to leave it by 15 after that we can close out. Chris, any closing remark before we close it out?
Yeah, that's I want to thank everyone who showed up and participated. The takeaway is that we are more knowledgeable about the subject matter. We have a clearer picture as to the path forward, right?
Yeah, the challenges.
Right, and so we understand a little better what we're getting into, right? And hopefully when we regroup, we'll have more information to make sound decisions. So thanks.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. And Tompa, any closing remark before I close out?
Yeah, I want to just thank everyone for participating, in this very important subject matter, right? As I mentioned before, my daughter, was diagnosed with it. As I said, even though she was a high achiever, she's ADHD.
HD.
She corrected me when I said ADD. So, so this is very important. Now, as Chris mentioned, now we identify a path forward. But what I'd like to do is ask for some help here. So Martin, would like for you and maybe the two ladies help us draft that initial program that we want to do, right? And present it to us, and then we'll vet it. But you're gonna have the experts on this subject matter drafting it, even though we will be looking at it. So we want to ask you guys to help us.
Thank you for that, it's a Tompa. But I gratefully just hand over everything to Peaches and Janice. These are the orators.
All right. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you. Yeah, you'll be in touch with them. Don't worry. But yeah, I will be in touch with them.
Martin will be in touch with them.
All right, thank you.
Janice can definitely say yes, I will help. Part of my job in public health was always writing proposals for programs like this. So yes.
There you have it. You see it?
All right.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Janice.
And yes,
listen,
and
teamwork,
yes,
teamwork.
I will assist in that too as well.
Beautiful.
Look at that. Lovely.
It's for our beloved Premier.
Martin, kick off the ball, and Janice and Peaches running with it. So we're not a problem.
Which one? Oh, we take Kadisha Bonisha.
Yeah. And Tompa, you brought up something there. Let me say this quickly because I thought, and Janice talked about it earlier about the testing and the screening. I know exactly what I talk about, Janice. When I moved there, my son, my younger son, two sons I have, the younger one, was going to school and them put near at all. And there's the testing them go do. And them have to put in, them call it a tube them put in their ears. And afterward, me I realized that the tube wasn't permanent. It fixed it, and it's like the tube disappear after a while.
It actually fixed the problem.
Yeah. So it's sometimes.
Yeah, man, that's good then.
The screening, as I said, Janice, to start with, is like it just slow them down a whole heap because I'm not hear nothing.
Exactly, and they don't know.
Them never know at all because I just say sometimes if you're right, I just say now with you and the glasses, you can't see, and when you put on the glasses, no, you're rotted.
But that is it in Lance. It's like that's why they're telling you the earlier the better, because if you can catch it from its very embryonic stage, then you imagine how far ahead the child can get.
I will take up I will reach out to the basic school that I've dealt with, the Methodist basic school there on Pembroke Hall and Acolita, and I'll find out what type of screening they do.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll do that there.
And the whole idea of opening this discussion, and thank you, Martin, for bringing this to my attention and opening the discussion, is to highlight the need for it. And as Janice correctly come on and said, there's a need to even start before you, Martin, in terms of the educational testing. The screening come before, and that's a very important part. And that's something we definitely, once Janice and Peaches draft of the proposal, they definitely. So Pembroke people that listen to this know exactly where we're going with this, It's a message to you. So Jackie, any closing remark before I close out?
Me
Yeah,
now?
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, just want to say thanks to everyone who made this evening possible. Very informative. And well, like for Lance and Tony, I also had my son tested at age 3, going on 4. And in my case, I was trying to figure out what to do with him because he was way ahead. So that is a different
type of test, that Jackie. Yeah. But that itself is a problem
too. Tested to know.
Yeah.
Exactly what I had to do with
him. Too advanced sometimes is also a problem.
Testing is indeed important.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to see where we can go from here.
Yeah, thank you,
Thanks
Jackie.
again.
Thank you, Jackie. And John or Andre, any closing remark before I close this out?
Our president.
Be careful with that name there. Be careful with that name there.
Big up yourself, my brother John.
John.
Respect Martin. Well, let me say a big thank you for to the Pembroke family and everybody who participated in this very worthwhile discussion. One of the takeaways have to be, we have identified the fact that there is a need for this program. And like I said at the top of the broadcast, we are in an exploratory mode, and meaning we want to see if we can develop a comprehensive program that beyond testing, we will be able to assist the child, our children, to some improvement. And the assistance may come in the form of connecting the families with organizations that exist, that provides the requisite follow-up once the need has been identified. It may be in the form of some financial backing. We don't know where it will lead, but we are going to work diligently to develop a program that will be effective. Right? And like Martin, it has been eating me up because you have mentioned more than once that your aunt used to beat you at Pembroke. Who's your aunt at Pembroke?
Samson.
Oh, I used to go up to her house for private lessons on Covey Avenue in the evening.
Yeah, she was I think she was the vice principal, right?
Well,
she was the principal at one
was
point.
Principal and then vice principal. And then she went to Merle
Yeah,
Grove.
yeah. I think so. She went to Merle Grove after a while?
Yeah, man.
Yes, yeah.
So when I said then, fair method of teaching couldn't necessarily work in the 21st century, I know, with the beating.
Only for that. Only for that.
You beat me personal still, you know. That's what me everything know.
Lance, it's a mindset change that caused those things not to work anymore, you know. The children today are given way more rights than we had.
Yeah, we're not going to go up on another podcast. You give your closing remark, I'm going to close out the show.
Yeah.
Go on.
Keep going.
I want to first and foremost, like Andre said, thank all of the participants, you know, that took part in today's chat. Believe me, it's been very fruitful, and I'm really impressed with the amount of people that came through and either lend a voice or an ear to it. Because hopefully we can get something going, because there's no doubt about it that it's needed. It's something that's been going on from the beginning of time. It's just that now in modern times, it's out there. So, you know, you're hearing about it through all mediums, especially in the news. And all we can do is try and do our part for help the youth them and put back Pembroke on the map. So once again, I want to thank everybody. And I'm looking forward to the next live session, because it has been very fruitful, as I say, and entertaining and educating.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. And
I asked Dingo if he wants to say something. Closing remarks.
No, man, I'm good, man. Everything
good?
Everything's
All
right.
right, thank you.
The man undercover.
Dingo, we undercover.
Anyway,
Dingo.
thank you all for coming. And Martin Awangi, a very special thanks, because you opened my eye to this. Because when I talked to you originally upon the podcast from Meadowbrook, I never aware of this at all. I think say, I just dunce man dunce, as you call the word, and trouble Mwangi, and I really just help people need. And it can be, what we attempt for this, I can change a whole heap of life.
But me know say man like Dingo, they get more caning than me still.
It can't stop the man them from a promote dunceness through music, like it's something to be proud of.
This is true.
Yeah.
Me and Dingo used to walk at school in the morning. Sometimes we woke up and bridge him. Me I left him, so me know say me I get caning for late. Dingo no must I get caning to man.
Well, yes, I'm not brave enough for talk it.
Yeah, gentle people, everybody. I now remember everybody, but I'm going through the name them. Dingo, Peaches there, Janice, Anne, Orion Maddox, we just go off from memory, Mr. Ingram, Kadian who was here earlier, Which one of the Scott them was here, Phil? You have to help me out. Odette.
Odette,
Odette was
Odette.
there.
Odette.
And if I forget anybody because I'm not screen, my forgiveness. Because believe you me, I want to call out everybody's name. I am,
Where does he live?
as I said, yeah, as I said, I
Jenny,
am,
I'm going to give you advice. You see, the next time around where you can do, you can also have it on your phone, but you don't allow the microphone. That way you don't have any cross feed or interruption.
yeah, man.
So on your phone, you know, once you screen up like this, you're going to see all of the people that were upon it. Everybody was upon it, you're going to see it from top to bottom.
Yeah, man, you're
Don't
talking
forget-
Because
about
obviously you don't have that luxury with the desktop.
No.
Lance,
forget-
before
yeah,
you,
forget Lance.
before you tune out,
Yeah.
We have to get
Lance,
Lance,
before
of
you
course.
tune out, wanna acknowledge
on.
Cameron.
Oh, definitely. Thank
Cameron.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Man, always I forget him. Either you are Andrea, I remind me, acknowledge Cameron or Tumpa. Thank you. That's an oversight on my part. But yes, Cameron, you have to big you up every time because I could never do this without you.
On your cheat sheet,
True.
you should have
Listen.
knowledge Cameron at the top
Yeah.
You
on
know,
the cheat
we-
sheet.
we have to go get Lance a course, Zoom for senior citizens.
That is right.
Zoom for dummies. You
Zoom
mean?
for
I
dummies.
never said dummies, you know. I said senior citizens.
I'm more than senior
No,
citizen,
Zoom for
man.
Dunspot. We can't use it. Now for free to use it. Zoom for Dunspot. I will take it on.
On my flight to Jamaica, 2 youth come on the plane and them have the backpack saying dunce or whatever.
Dunce.
Yeah.
Them serious no blood.
When I start another
But that's a
podcast.
show the level of ignorance we're
Really?
in the younger society today.
True,
Because
true.
remember, listen, it's just like how me view politician. You're a leader.
All right, no politics.
All right.
No, all right,
No,
before I close
but
it
you
out.
have to do the right thing.
Hold on.
Because
Darrington.
Hold on, Janice
Darrington.
and Peaches.
Yes.
Listen, I give my open invitation, a public invitation to want to come on the podcast, and we can go over this in more details on the passion for education I want to Bellevue, and talk with the Permacal members at the same time. So I'll reach out to both of them for that. So before, yeah,
I don't have any Pembrokeshire memories. I'm not originally
you're not
from
original
Pembrokeshire.
Permacal, but you know
No.
you know one of the biggest banners from Permacal. You can't talk about him. I don't know. You can't give me some behind the paywall stuff about him. It's all right.
Man, some of this needs for editing.
I think that's the
Okay.
very reason why she don't want to come on it.
Anyway, gentle
It
people.
was a quick rejection, right? It's like a Clint Eastwood have quick on the
Yeah,
draw.
but Johnny, the invitation still home to you and Grace here. Grace not on the line, and me and Grace go primary school together. So anytime when you're ready, no rush or nothing at all. No come on anytime when you want. I'll reach out back to you the same way. But I want
I
to
hear
thank
you.
everybody, including the crew, Martin especially, if you open me eye to this. Jackie, Tumpa, Phil, Andre, and Chris. When I want to leave out
Don't
nobody.
leave out Cameron. Don't leave
And
out
Cameron, no,
Cameron.
but Cameron, I forget at the end, Cameron will be a special, very special, as I say, over and over. I cannot
Yeah.
do this without Cameron, because I don't think even a Zoom for Dummies would help me with this at all. That not will help me. Me need Cameron to make this work for me. So I always have a
What you
big,
say, yeah, dry seeder.
big. But not that nothing. I'm so like it upon me. You know, nothing. But I say, but I just even Permacal program are one way. And the ball, Permacal. So thank you, no? And have a good night. All right.
Same here.
Yeah, man. Close it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, man. Blessed night, everyone.
Close it out.